The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for November 2nd, 2025. I think officially the racing season is over for Taylor and for myself and Jeremy, who drags her to all these races, all the small track type of dirt racing and stuff like that. That's what they go to. And for me, the NASCAR season is now officially over. And I think I'm probably more disappointed with the NASCAR champion than she is with the racing season being over. But either way, this is season 15, episode number 16, and episode number 530 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. And boy, those Binghamton Black Bears had a weekend, an interesting weekend, maybe a history-making weekend a little bit. I am your host, Bob Howard, and she is
Taylor Welch.
Now, Taylor, let's talk a little bit about Saturday, the aftermath of Saturday. And people were like, wait, there's some aftermath that we don't know about. Taylor, how did you react? Because I know what I was saying to you. I very much disliked the way the Saturday's game went. Not because the Black Bears lost, okay? They didn't score enough goals. They couldn't get pressure in their own zone for long enough. But man, the penalties just killed everything about that game. And if you like that game because you're a Prowlers fan and your Prowlers won, fine. I understand it. Sometimes those emotions get the best of you. But the game itself, if you're a true hockey fan that loves hockey, that wasn't a hockey game. That was something that just made me sick to my stomach. Please agree with me on this and tell the fans that we were both in misery after that game and during the game.
Between you and Steve, I was losing my mind. I was extremely frustrated. And it's not frustration because, the Black Bears lost or because they took penalties. It's just the amount of penalties and the style of play that Port Huron does. It's not hockey that I can sit and watch. I kept telling you guys that I didn't even want to watch the game because it was just penalty after penalty, the whistle blowing, the constant stoppage of play. Yeah. It kills the vibe for me. And it's so hard to watch and stay focused and just keep up with everything because there's just so much stoppage. And there's no flow to it at all. And it's just, That's not hockey to me.
And it's not Binghamton Black Bears hockey, right? Because when the Black Bears play almost any other team than Port Huron right now, at least the way the league is set up and with the teams that are out there and the teams we got to play against, Watertown is physical and they will use their sticks a little bit more than maybe other teams, and they'll use their bodies a little bit more than other teams. But it doesn't even compare to last year's Port Huron Prowlers and this year's Port Huron Prowlers. It's very tough to watch those games when you have 34 penalties between the two teams, and I think it's 118 minutes between the two teams as well. You just can't get into a good flow. And let's be honest, our best muck-it-up player was Tyson Kirkby the last 2 years. He's not out there. So that makes it very difficult because, yes, sure, CJ Stubbs has got the body and the skill to maybe play the style of hockey that Port Huron does. But on a regular, he doesn't need to play that kind of hockey because they can just go and skate and pass the puck and shoot and score goals. And they don't need to put that much emphasis on the muck it up style, which is what I like to call it, because you're just mucking everything up with your stick and your bodies. And you're going out there and doing these stupid penalties that just ruin the flow of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Port Huron's coach, when he talked about the game or talked about the games after Saturday's win, he very much just kind of comes right out and says that, he says that his guys, just didn't have their skates on them or their feet on them for Friday night's game. When in reality, in Friday night's game, we played Binghamton hockey. That's what it was. That's the style that they played. And
for
Port
2
Huron
periods.
couldn't beat it.
For 2 periods. I think yeah, go ahead.
He very right out in the open said that they knew coming into Saturday that they knew how they needed to play, and that's what they did.
And the thing that really started to, like, it started me off right at the beginning when they go to line up for the face-off and Matt Graham literally slashes Jacob Shankar's stick and breaks it, and then he has to go change his stick. No penalty on that.
I mean, even the look on Shankar's face, he was like, he kind of like holds his stick out, and he's like, really? As he's skating back to the bench, like, it just already into the game, they're already, doing stuff like that. It's just, It's very hard to watch a hockey game like that. In
a game where there was 34 penalties, like the refs don't call that. Like, you don't start off on the power play for the Black Bears because the refs are going to let that go. I mean, did Matt Graham really flip the referee $50 so he could do that? I mean, I don't know. It's to me, and I know I'm just joking. I don't think Matt Graham's paying off the referees, but it just seemed so weird to me that he could go over there, and you can clearly see it on the video. I mean, the camera is dead center ice, and he goes over there, whack, whack, and then Jacob Shankar has to come over, and then he gets his new stick, and he goes over there, and he tries to whack him again.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me. I mean, he didn't get called for the first one, so why not keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. We are now 1,000 plus. In that regards, thank you very much for joining us there. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And believe it or not, Taylor asked me for a stat about the first 6 or 7 games, and it's one thing I don't have on binghamtonhockey.net. I had to go look at my records, but that's okay. Coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, from the Binghamton Black Bears, defenseman Dan Wieber, who will answer 6 more questions. All right, Taylor, let's get into the first game. And because this game, for at least in my opinion, the first 2 periods were Binghamton Black Bears hockey. After that, it started to go downhill.
I thought the whole game was honestly Binghamton hockey, at least in my view. Maybe you saw things differently than I did, but
the third period was just kind of like the beginning of what we saw on Saturday. In my eyes, the Prowlers started to muck it up a little bit more, get a little more physical, get more reckless with their sticks, and I think that started to show in the third period. And it also drew some of the Black Bears into committing some penalties, because the one thing I think the Black Bears have a hard time doing, and this is the evidence when it comes to when we play against the Port Huron Prowlers, when the Prowlers start to do that physical stuff and they break up the flow of the Black Bears sometimes get behind in the play and they commit the stick infractions like hooking and slashing and things of that nature, holding, to sometimes try to slow down the Prowlers, who then are trying to pick up the pace after they've done one of their hits or their muck it up style type of play. And yes, I know it's hockey, guys, and I get it. It's a good forecheck, blah, blah, blah. You can say all that you want, but it's one team that does it like that, and they're a good defensive team, don't get me wrong, but I'm getting off on a tangent again. Let's go into game 1.
All righty.
Sorry. This might be a rough episode for me. I might have to have some counseling afterwards. I might have to go to the psychiatrist or a psychologist or somebody to figure out why I'm so upset about Saturday's game and even the third period of this game.
I mean, you're not the only one that thinks that way. I mean, even Jeremy, as we're watching the third period, he was saying that Saturday's game was going to be rough. He was expecting it to start in the third period on Friday, but he's like, Saturday, it's not going to be easy Saturday.
Yeah.
So you're not alone in your thinking. I just, I try to stay positive. It doesn't always work.
I understand. All right, let's get going.
Black Bears defeat Prowlers on Friday night in Port Huron, October 31st, 2025, in McMorran Arena, Game 7 of the season. Binghamton Black Bears at Port Huron Prowlers. The first period, the Black Bears get on the score sheet first, just 10:27 into the first period after a great pass from Tim Kim to Austin Thompson, who scored his 101st career goal.
Now, before I read through some of the notes, I've really liked what I've seen from Tim Kim. He's got speed on the ice. He seems to go to the right places, and he makes good passes down by the net. It's down by the net where he makes good passes. What have you thought? Because I think for me, the two that really have stood out are all the new guys, and I know it's all different levels and whatnot. Is Jacob Shankar and Tim Kim have really stood out for me so far in the first 8 games.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, especially those two on the same line together and with Austin Thompson. They seem to work really well.
Mm-hmm.
Austin seems to work well with everybody whichever line he's on, he seems to, work well with. So that's awesome, especially when you got to keep plugging guys in and out for injuries or personal reasons. But I've just started noticing Tim Kim. I've known a lot of the fans have, talked about him and pointed him out more. Because for me, I've paid attention to Ivan Bondarenko and Jacob Shankar the most, honestly.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Tim Kim, he reminds me a lot of Gavin Yates. And now that, Gavin Yates was away this weekend, it really, he really shined, and you were able to kind of pick out the similarities, but also, some of the differences and how he's able to get the puck in easier than probably some of these other guys.
And he skates well. I think that's the other thing that I like about him is how he skates, which is very similar to Gavin in some respects. All right, starters in this game for the Black Bears: Dominic Tumay getting his second start in a row. Taylor, which I thought was interesting. Dan Wieber, Dan Stone, Tim Kim, Austin Thompson, and Jacob Shankar. Scratches in the game, of course, everybody knows, was Tyson Kirkby, Gavin Yates, who was away on personal reasons, Wyatt Friedlander, Cam Servone, Zach Sirota, and Nick Swain. Now, Nick Swain came off of the IR, so he was just a healthy scratch in that sense. Dylan Marty laid a big hit on Scott Ramakers right around the 8-minute mark, knocking Ramakers off his skates. Now, if you remember this from watching this was really the only big physical hit in the first 2 periods that the Prowlers put on the Black Bears.
Yeah, I remember it plain as day because I remember watching him hit the ice. But then I remember, I don't know if it was the same guy, but he was behind our net a little later on, and somebody came up he was going to lay another hit on him, and you could see that Ramakers, stiffened up, and he was more prepared. And I think once you take a hit like that once, you're not going to let it happen again.
No, not usually in the same game. Absolutely. I totally agree. Prowlers had to ice the puck multiple times in the first 8 minutes and 8.5 minutes. Tumay had a great save as Matt Graham won a faceoff and sent the puck to Tim Organ. It was a very quick play who took a slap shot to Tumay, who made a great save. The Thompson goal to open up the scoring. The Black Bears sent the puck down the ice. The referees waved off icing, which was interesting. Kim got the puck and sent it to Thompson, who scored easily. However, the Prowlers wanted an explanation from the referees why icing was waved off. Now, for most of the people who may not know, icing can be waved off by the linesmen or the referees if they feel that the defending team could have played the puck, right, or gotten there quick enough. If you back off because you want to get icing, they're going to wave off the icing. They're going to look at your intent. So in that regards, I could understand why the Prowlers would ask, well, that should have been icing or that would have normally been icing. And I'm sure the referee had some sort of explanation of why it was not. So interesting note there. Tumay is looking good this period. I thought he looked good really throughout the game. And he's needed to look good as the Prowlers have let in shots through most of the period and have had some good quality chances. 13 minutes into the period, Clark hits the post. I think he hit the post twice in the same sequence. Ramakers and Durazio both had big blocks in front of Tumay, keeping the puck away from their netminder. I really liked Tumay's first period. He was making smart choices on his positioning, and he deserves a lot of credit for the shutout period. What were your thoughts on Tumay's game on Friday?
I was impressed. I was shocked to know that he was, getting his second start. I was tossing in my head about, which goalie they were going to start, because realistically, you could start any single one of ours.
Sure.
So I was shocked to see that he was, going to play back-to-back games, but I'm very happy that he did. I'm definitely happy that it happened in this game and not in the Saturday's game, just because I don't really know. I feel like Saturday's game was more intense in the sense that it was just more physical and a lot more going on. I think they saw like the same amount of shots on goal for both games between Tomei and McAnanama.
Yeah, 37, I think, total.
Yeah, 36 or 37.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But yeah, I've been impressed with him. And then to kind of go back a little bit, Durazio, he's kind of been impressing me too with his defensive plays that he's been making.
Yeah.
I've kind of noticed him quite a bit on the ice too.
Yeah, I think he's won a position on this team. I mean, I could be wrong. Brant, you can message me if I'm wrong, but I think Durazio has definitely earned a good long look from the Black Bears. He's definitely somebody that's fitting into the systems pretty well. Power play opportunities in the first period. Binghamton had no opportunities, and the Prowlers were 0 for 1. Shots on goal, Binghamton 10, Port Huron Prowlers 14. One of the themes, Taylor, before we get to the second period, is that this weekend, the Prowlers held the Black Bears down in shots. Something that, they didn't win the shots on goal battle at all this weekend. And it's the first time in almost a full year that's happened in a weekend for the Black Bears.
Yeah, that's great. I was looking at that this morning, and it's crazy to look at that we went from averaging 50 shots on goal to we were barely getting 20.
Yeah,
it's definitely, you could tell that the Prowlers definitely interrupt the style of play that the Black Bears do.
Absolutely. All right, let's go into the second period.
Second period, with Lucas Lackney in the box for slashing, the Black Bears take a 2-0 lead after a tic-tac-toe passing play, which led to a Mac Jansen power play goal. 52 seconds later, the Black Bears take a 3-0 lead after Austin Thompson scored his second goal of the night at the 3:53 mark of the period. The Black Bears score their third goal of the period and fourth of the game at the 5:01 mark of the middle period, making this a 4-0 game, just 5:01 into the middle frame off the stick of Scott Ramakers. From a high slot to low slot, Bondarenko fed Thompson for the hat trick as the Black Bears take a 5-0 lead, 9:41 into the period.
At this point, I'm like, okay, the Prowlers are basically not touching the Black Bears. They're not doing their normal kind of muck it up, high forecheck type of game. And I'm like, okay, it's 5-0. Either the third period is going to be a cakewalk for the Black Bears, or it's going to change in favor of the Prowlers. And I just didn't. And more times than not, when a team is up 5-0, the other team in the third period, they're just going to hit you every single second they can. And the Prowlers really started to do that. But the Black Bears got their first power play opportunity at the 2:23 mark of the middle period with after Lancey slashing, which led to the Mac Jansen power play goal. Austin Thompson scored his second goal of the night after a Prowlers turnover in their own zone. Prowlers took their timeout at the 3:53 mark to calm things down, but that didn't work as Scott Ramaker scored shortly afterwards. 5:01 into the second period, and the Black Bears now have a 4-0 lead and 3 goals, 1 on the power play for Mac Jansen. Then 2 5-on-5 from Austin Thompson and Scott Ramakers. They did this all very quickly in the second period. All 3 of those goals were scored within 2 minutes of each other. Scott Ramakers and Ivan Bondarenko had a lot of great games so far, and Austin Thompson is getting the benefit as he gets the hat trick. Black Bears in this period now have 2 power play goals on 2 chances. That is their 4th and 5th power play goals in the last 2 games. Dan Stone, right place, right time, over and over again, making key clearing plays in front of the Binghamton netminders. It was something that I noticed a lot on Friday. Dan Stone, his positioning on the ice is so effing good. He's always in the right place to make that key save. I know it's something we've talked about over the past few weeks, but something in that game on Friday night just made me go, I have to write this down.
Yeah, Dan Stone. I mean, even Saturday night, he was, down there helping McNanum out. He's always there. He's going to do what he has to do. And that's why he's part of the leadership part of the team now.
Yeah. Great period for the Black Bears. Maybe their best second period so far this season. They got contributions from almost every player on the roster in that middle period. Maybe not necessarily assists and goals, but literally I think everybody you could point to good points in that second period. Austin Thompson is at 199 points, only needs one more to get to 200. Obviously, that's foreshadowing to Saturday. Thompson also scored the Black Bears' second hat trick of the season. Tyson Kirkby got one in the home opener. This is Austin Thompson's fourth hat trick of his career. Power play opportunities, Binghamton was 2 for 2. Port Huron did not have an opportunity. Black Bears stayed out of the box, or they had a matching minor. Shots on goal, Binghamton 10, Port Huron 10. So at this point, Port Huron still leading 24-20 after 40 minutes.
In the third period, with the Prowlers on a 5-on-3 power play, they score their first goal of the game off the stick of Matt Graham at the 4:58 mark of the third period, making this a 5-1 game. Tim Organ scores the Prowlers' second goal of the period in game with a shot that beat Tamay's 5-hole at the 9:36 mark of the final period. Matt Graham scored his second 5-on-3 power play goal of the game, making this a 5-3 game with 4:04 left to go in the final period. The Black Bears escape the third period and win 5-3 on Halloween night.
Okay, so I just found this so interesting. First of all, I didn't think Tamay played bad in the third period. I think when you give a team that has some skill that doesn't always choose to use their high level skill, they choose to muck it up, blah, blah, blah. I've already said that. So you guys know where I'm going with this. When they choose to actually use their skill, I can't blame the goaltender. The 2 5-on-3 goals for Tamay, so many NHL, AHL, ECHL goaltenders, they give up goals when it's 5-on-3. You just, when you get in that perfect triangle position and you're passing the puck all over the place, the goaltender has a hard time going east to west and making those saves. You cannot blame him for that. And the Tim Organ goal, he went straight down the middle. And what have I said to you, Taylor, so many times about going straight down the middle through the slot, head on with the goaltender?
We've talked about it during shootouts, is that when these guys go wide, it makes it easier for a goalie to make a save than when he comes straight on.
Yeah, because they have to make a decision quick, and they don't know if you're going to go up or go down or keep the, you know what I mean? So I can't blame him for those 3 goals. It's just the way it is. I'm not saying that he was perfect or that he couldn't have done something a little bit better. Of course he could have, but I don't blame him for those goals. All right. Black Bears give up a 5-on-3 opportunity to the Prowlers after a Thompson roughing and a Jansen hooking, which led to a Matt Graham 2-man-up goal. The Prowlers score, but then negate what would have been a 5-on-4 power play with Alex Johnson getting tagged with a roughing as he pushed one of the Black Bears down to the ice after the Graham goal. Now, we didn't get to see that, Taylor, if you remember correctly, because they take the lights and they turn off the lights during the celebration. So we didn't actually see it, but Brooks could see it where he was. He could see that Alex Johnson did that. To me, this is the stupidity sometimes of the Prowlers and the way they play. You just score a 5-on-3 goal. Matt Graham gets you guys on the board. And then the assistant coach, the assistant general manager of the team, goes into where the Black Bears are trying to defend their netminder. And, you know, that's just normal after a goal. Your defenseman, maybe a forward, goes up to your own goaltender to reassure him. He goes up there and pushes them and gets a roughing call and negates their 5-on-4 portion of the 5-on-3 penalty. Stupid. It's just, to me, I don't understand that. Okay. I thought you were going to comment. It's okay. It's okay. I was giving you space.
Well, you cut out right there at the last second, so I didn't know.
No, I
right at the end there, you cut out, so I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. I basically was pausing to let you say something if you wanted to. The Prowlers start to come unhinged as Brian Parson gets a 10-minute misconduct. Oregon's goal was simple, going down the slot undefended and scoring 5-hole. Tough play for Tumay. Both teams saved all their penalty minutes for the third period as both teams start to get tagged with penalty after penalty. Of course, it worked in the benefit of the Prowlers, not the Black Bears. Prowlers 100% owned the third period. They got 2 5-on-3 power play goals in the period. The two teams combined for 13 penalties in the third period. This was setting up. This is why I'm saying this was a lot like the game on Saturday. The Prowlers pulled Wieber with 30 seconds left to go in the game. This was a good 40 minutes for the Black Bears, but the last 20 minutes of the game became the Prowlers' style of hockey. It will be interesting to see how the Prowlers start tomorrow's game. Gee, funny how I wrote that on Friday night, how they start tomorrow's game. So Saturday's game, as they didn't play as physical in the first 40 minutes as they did in the last 20 minutes. Black Bears start the season 7-0 and sweep the month of October. Power play opportunities, 0 for 4 for Binghamton, 0 for 4 for Port Huron Prowlers. And no, that doesn't make any sense. No, the Prowlers would have been 2 for 4. My bad. Shots on goal, Binghamton 7, Prowlers 11. And this is the first game of this weekend where Binghamton doesn't outshoot their opponent 27-35. Give me your final thoughts on the Friday game.
I mean, we came out with the win. The ending wasn't the cleanest. And I think, honestly, the Prowlers started the third period stuff because I think they came into the game thinking that they could outplay us like they did last year, where they had the ability to outskate us. They were intercepting most of our passes, and they were just able to break up most of our plays from last year without all the physical stuff that was needed. And I think they realized, partway through this game, they couldn't do that this time.
Yeah.
They weren't able to break up our plays or break up our passes, and that they couldn't get control of the game. So they had to do their style, and they couldn't beat us at our own game. So they had to turn it into their game. Yeah.
And I don't know how you combat that. Like, I don't know how you play, like, because Binghamton Black Bears hockey is not that style where you are recklessly using your sticks and you're more concentrated on big hits. And then you mix it in with some forechecking that's good, and you mix it in with some skilled hockey, right? And what you're hoping for is a low-scoring game, like basically what Saturday's game was a 2-1 game. But when the game opens up, and Black Bears can play their style of hockey, which is passing the puck, long passes, multiple passes before taking a shot, that type of stuff, when they do that, they're very good at it. And most people can't beat them. So how do you combat that style of muck it up kind of defensive play where you're just really kind of getting away? And if you get a referee that wants to just, blow the whistle every 5 seconds, it kind of ruins the flow of the game for people who are watching it, maybe even for people who are playing it a little bit. But it's very interesting. All right. Why don't you give us the rundown of the details of Friday night's game?
Black Bears defeat a third period comeback from the Prowlers and win 5-3. Austin Thompson scored a hat trick in the game. Ivan Bondarenko had 3 assists on the night for a 3-point night. Scott Ramaker scored his 3rd goal of the season and assisted on another for a 2-point night. Mac Jansen scored his 6th goal of the season and his 3rd on the power play. Dominic Tomei stopped 32 of 35 shots for his 2nd win of the season. Black Bears win their 7th straight game to start the season, have 20 points on the season, and stay on top of the Empire Division. Black Bears are perfect in the month of October. Black Bears and Prowlers will play again tomorrow night in the McMorran Arena with a 6:05 puck drop.
Yeah, so they went from a 7:45 start on Halloween night to Saturday night, a 6:05 puck drop. All right. We're going to take a small break. We're going to give you 6 more questions with Dan Wieber. I think everybody needs a break from us. We probably need a break to take a swig of water. But we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. It's our weekend wrap-up show. And, of course, we got 6 more questions. This time it's with Dan Wieber. Dan, you ready for these?
Oh, couldn't be more ready.
Perfect. All right, number 1. Who was the greatest influence on your hockey career?
I would think, besides my parents,
sure,
would have to be our neighbor growing up, Dave Morey. He played at Michigan State growing up, and he helped my dad figure out how a rink was possible, and he would come out. He had a son of his own that was much younger than me, and he played hockey as well. As I believe his wife was an Olympic figure skater, and now their daughter, I believe, made it to the Olympics for figure skating, and so they have hockey running through their blood. And he would come out with his son, and he was eager to teach me. I was eager to learn, and that's kind of where my love for hockey had a foundation.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, number 2, what is your dream job outside of playing hockey? And you can't say just marrying a sugar mama like Bailey. That doesn't count as a dream job.
Probably a pro golfer, a YouTube golfer.
Really? That's what, was it Mac Jansen? Or no, it was Wyatt Freelander just said that. Have you guys been talking?
Really? No, I've been watching YouTube golf, and I'm just trying to craft my own game. And it's like, wow, it'd be easier if I was the guy teaching, but I can't swing a club.
Can you do any trick shots with the clubs?
I'm just working on getting closer to the hole.
Perfect. Yeah, I same here. I'm a good chipper, and that's about it. Number 3, which artist is on your Spotify playlist the most?
I would say probably Suicide Boys.
Okay.
They've been my number 1 artist for, I think, 3 years now.
Really? So that's a little bit different. A lot of the guys, I think a couple years ago when I asked the one music question, a lot of them were listening to one of those country guys.
Morgan Wallen,
yeah. So Suicide Boys is definitely on a different wavelength. But you have a musical taste more like your father, right?
Yeah, a little more heavy maybe, but I do like all the genres. Like I'm on aux in the locker room almost every day, and I switch it up every day from pop, country. I played a little Fleetwood Mac today.
Nice. Just
kind of some throwback. So it's definitely a verse genre of my music, but the Suicide Boys are always at the top.
Nice. All right, number 4. All right, and this is one of those where you got to think about that commercial, the Pesky commercial, where they're talking about the most interesting man in the world. Who's the most interesting guy in the locker room? Who's the guy that
most interesting guy in the locker room?
Yeah, the one that you could just sit there and listen to him talk, for hours.
I mean, John Brown has the most stories.
Really?
In the locker room for sure. But I would go Cheech. He's the man of few words, so I think he's got to have the most stories. I just haven't cracked him yet. Every morning I'll be, Cheech, how are we? And he goes, alive. Every morning that's his answer. So I'm just waiting for a different answer one of these mornings, and I'm going to dive in on him.
That's awesome. When you do get a different answer, please let me know. I'd like to know what he's doing other than living, because that would be great. I'll have to get him on the show and then ask him, hey, how you doing today? I'm alive. I'll be like, that's awesome.
I guarantee I would put a lot of money on that.
All right. Number 5, what's your favorite candy or sweet?
I'm so torn, because if I'm going chocolate, I would have to go Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, but I love Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, I think we talked about Sour Patch Kids before, Because I asked what your cheat thing was, and you said Sour Patch Kids, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So those are
you're definitely.
Yeah, if I had to pick one, I think it would be Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Nice. All right, number 6. You know this one. It's the zombie apocalypse. It's happened. You're in a hockey arena, and you're stuck there. Who's the one person, fictional, non-fictional, dead or alive, that you would want in the rink with you?
In the rink with me, dead or alive?
Yeah, or fictional, non-fictional. Remember, Eggy went with Genghis Khan the one time, so you just got to love Eggy, right?
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I think I'd have to go with either C-Mac or Rhoda. Just, it'd be enjoyable while I was there. Those guys are always keeping me on my toes and making me laugh. So
C-Mac is it's so funny because I think a lot of the fans see him as a very quiet, reserved kind of guy, but in the locker room, totally different, right?
Agreed. Yeah, to the fans and in the locker room, he's a different guy. He's himself in the locker room, and to the fans, he's modest, holds himself well, and I feel like he never smiles outside of the rink.
Dan, thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it. Obviously the Thursday podcast, and now here on the weekend wrap-up show doing 6 More Questions. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You know how much I absolutely love your father. He is one of my favorite people that I've gotten to meet through hockey. McAnanima's dad and your dad are 2 of the special, rare kind of parents who are not only supportive, but they're just good human beings as well. I just want you to know that. I truly enjoy all the time I get when your dad gets out to New York from Minnesota. And I know I promised him I'd come out to Minnesota and either go to a Wild game, or he could take me to a Vikings game or something to that effect. But I want to get out there, maybe even take the Jeep out into the bog and get it stuck. We'll see. But your dad is one of my favorite people that I've gotten to associate with, being back covering the Black Bears. I really appreciate him.
Yeah, I mean, he appreciates everything you do. I really appreciate you saying that. It's really nice of you to say. It goes a long way. My parents are awesome. They supported me along the way. And if you wanted to get stuck, my dad would suggest you ride with me. But
well, I when I was younger, and we'll end this after this, but when I was younger, we had guys would come and companies would come and dig out sand and rare minerals out by where I used to live in Nichols, New York, which is where Tioga Downs is and Tioga Country Club, in case anyone's ever taken you guys out there golfing. But we have all these sand pits, and we used to ride our BMX bikes and stuff. Well, we used to take vehicles out there, especially after it rained. And I'll tell you right now, that was the best time ever. Now, we never got one stuck, luckily, because we'd get in trouble. My mom would have blistered my butt if I did that. But it was a lot of fun, and they're still there. They're hidden amongst a bunch of grass and trees that have grown up, but those pits are still there, which are pretty cool. So I love that story that you told on the Thursday podcast. It's really good stuff. But Dan, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Of course. Happy to be here.
All right. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Dan Wieber answering 6 more questions. Dan, thank you very much for doing so. Now for the aggravated part of the episode, more aggravated than the first part of the episode where we were talking a little bit about this game. We are going to now talk about Game 2, Saturday night in Port Huron. Taylor?
And just to reemphasize, we're not aggravated because the Black Bears lost.
No. We are just two people that do not. I mean, listen, if you have one line brawl and there are 5 guys out there that all decided to drop the gloves and beat the living crap out of each other, and there was maybe 6 other penalties the whole rest of the game, I'm totally cool with that. Matter of fact, I'd probably stand up and cheer and probably take pictures of the brawl. I'd be okay with that. But when it's,
I think everybody else would be too.
But when it's all this other stuff all throughout the whole game, that makes it tough. But let's get started.
And on that note, Black Bears lose their first game of the season in Port Huron 4-1. November 1st, 2025, in McMorran Arena, Game 8 of the season. Binghamton Black Bears at Port Huron Prowlers. The first period, scoring his first goal of the season, Blake Anderson gave the Prowlers a 1-0 lead, just 1:14 into the period. The Black Bears tie the game up with Tim Kim's third goal of the season at the 8:58 mark of the first period.
And unfortunately, that was the last goal we would see from the Binghamton Black Bears on Saturday night. All right. Scratches in the game, Tyson Kirkby. Everybody knows that. Zach Sirota, who's now on the IR. Cam Servone, who I know is suffering from an injury. Cam Clark and Gavin Yates and Wyatt Freelander. Starters in the game were Connor McAnanima at goal. Dan Wieber, Dan Stone, who I think have started almost every single game this season. It's the D pair that he tends to go to first. Tim Kim, Austin Thompson, and Jacob Shankar. I think Tim Kim has started a lot of the games this year as well. The Prowlers, before the faceoff went after the Black Bears. Matt Graham broke Shankar's stick, and no penalty was called. Taylor and I have already raised our blood pressure talking about that at the beginning of this show. After the first goal from Blake Anderson, I wrote Black, but Blake Anderson, there were 2 unsportsmanlike penalties called on the. Okay, so when it was first put in there, it was somebody on the bench, maybe Paulin and Sherwood, maybe. I don't know. But they did put a bench minor unsportsmanlike, but then they changed it to the 2 people who served the penalties, which is Reggie Millette and Emerson Emery. So without me probably asking Emery what happened in that instance, why he went into the box, we won't know at the moment because it was put in one way and changed to the other. The Tim Kim goal was a great pass east to west from Shankar. Again, Shankar is a part of a lot of this, to Kim, who was streaking in with Shankar, and Reed Cooper could not get over quick enough to stop the Kim shot. It was just a great play, Taylor. I know you were in the road and it was hard to probably see everything, but that play was just exactly what you want to see in front of Reed Cooper. The east to west, right in front of him, passes that he just can't catch up to.
I mean, I actually went through and rewatched that goal as I was doing my impact players. So I got a good look at it because I watched it several times just over and over and over again because I could not get over Kim was peppering the Prowlers and Shankar was able to steal that puck in their own zone. And it led to that beautiful play. And it was a great play all around. And
what's amazing is, Taylor, they've only played their 7th and 8th games of the season. That's the crazy part of their pro career. Right. I know they probably made some of these plays, but this is the pros now. Everything's a little bit faster. Everybody's a little bit stronger. Everybody's a little bit more better skilled. And they're coming in the 7th and 8th game of their pro careers making these kind of plays.
And Shankar's been on every single line matched up with, different people throughout. So it's more impressive.
Yeah. What a cluster of a period. But this is what the Prowlers want because it's the type of game where they think they have the edge. However, the Prowlers gave up 5 chances to the Black Bears, and the Black Bears only gave the Prowlers 2 chances on the man-up advantage. Here are the fights because there were a couple. Brian Parsons against Tim Kim. I would say Kim got the decision. I wouldn't say it was a clear knockout or anything like that, but he got the decision. However, at the 13:05 mark, there was another fight, and that was between Connor Bizzell and Emerson Emery. And Emerson Emery literally took him down like after about 3 or 4 shots. It was like boom, 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 boom. Bizzell went down, and that was that, it was a pretty good fight. Did you see either one of the 2 fights?
Yeah, I did. We watched, I think, pretty much the whole game on the ride home, and I actually went back to Emery's fight because Jeremy was obviously watching racing on his way home, so I was watching hockey. It was a very confusing car ride, but I had to go back to the Emery one because watching him, he uppercuts and then he goes over and hits him on top, and then he goes under again and then over on top again, and it was a back and forth, and I was like, good Lord!
But he destroyed him. I'm sorry, he did. It was a good fight, good win for Emerson. I know Emerson was looking for a fight even the weekend before because he really wants people to know that if you're looking for a fight, you can come to Emerson Emery. He's not going to say no as long as it's at the right place and time in a game. So, all right. I wrote down, let's hope this is not the way the whole game is going to go. But as we all know, I was clearly dreaming at that moment as I was writing that. Power play opportunities, 0 for 4 for Binghamton, 0 for 1 for the Port Huron Prowlers. Shots on goal, Binghamton 10, the Prowlers 10 as well. Let's go into the second period.
In the second period, the Prowlers take the lead with an R2 Hakila goal on a delayed penalty on Dan Wieber, but with the extra attacker on ice, Hakila scored at the 12:48 mark to make this a 2-1 game.
Yeah, and that was pretty much all the scoring until the late end of the third period. The Black Bears started the period with 25 seconds of power play time with Reggie Millette still in the box. They did not score on that, obviously. The Prowlers then killed a 2-minute 5-on-3 power play for the Black Bears. There were two Prowlers that got 2 penalties at the same time. They go in the box, and they were able to kill it off. With Shankar in the box for slashing into 7:51 mark, the post was the Black Bears' best friend as the Prowlers hit the post twice. Dan Wieber also had a great block and moved the puck out of the zone on the same Shankar penalty. A decent fight between Shankar and Brockway. Brockway likely gets the win, but Shankar fought well for his second fight of his career. The training staff for the Port Huron Prowlers had to go into the box and attend to Brockway. So Shankar did some damage on Brockway. That made me happy, I'll just say.
I think it made everybody else happy too, especially when Brooks said that Shankar was just going with the old reliable, just putting ice on his hand.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, Hockey 101. And this really what it comes down to is I was really upset about this play because unfortunately when you're home and you're not in the arena and you don't have contact with off-ice officials like I can definitely do in Binghamton, this was very confusing for everyone. But Dan Wieber takes a delayed penalty. They pull the goaltender, an extra attacker goes out, and they score a goal with the extra attacker. So it's called a delayed penalty goal. Now, I know you looked it up into the rule book because I think there was a lot of confusion. However, if that happens, the penalty is negated. You go back to 5-on-5, and you have a face-off right at the center dot like normal. However, in this case, they put Wieber in the box, and we were like, "Why is this? Right? Why are they putting Wieber in the box?" It was very confusing. Then they put up the hooking call, which he got initially. So the initial call was for hooking. Then they scored the goal. Apparently, Dan Wieber, I guess, takes the puck and shoots it down to the other end of the ice towards Reed Cooper and gets a penalty for that. So in the rule book, they should have pulled the hooking call, and he should be in the box for 2 minutes for the unsportsmanlike. But they left on the score sheet the hooking ticket, which was just ridiculous. And then, of course, Dan probably said something and got the 10-minute misconduct to go with it. But it was a very confusing time. We unfortunately don't get the vantage point like in the NHL where they can talk to the rules analyst. We all had to go searching for that ourselves. And then Brooks did message me and said, listen, he got a second penalty. Unfortunately, they rescinded the second penalty, not the first one, which was improper. So again, the FPHL and the way they do scorekeeping and the people they have doing it just can't do a good job, and it's confusing for everything. So at this point, with all the penalties that have happened through the second period, this is literally one of the last notes I have for this period. Garbage game, plain and simple. but it's what the Prowlers wanted because it was working for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Prowlers knew that it's what they have to make the penalties. They have to, you know, as you say, muck it up.
Yeah.
They know how to play their game, and it shows. I mean, that's how they've played their entire season so far, and we've talked about it before this week came up, that the Prowlers, you know, we didn't have a fight in the first minute on either game, which was shocking, but it didn't take long in the second game for several fights to break out, which the Prowlers, that's their motto right now, is they're going to have fights. They have a fight in every single game.
Mm-hmm.
Brockway has been in most of them.
Yeah.
If it's not Brockway, it's usually Parsons.
Yeah. All right, power play opportunities in the second period, 0 for 3 for Binghamton, 0 for 4 for the Port Huron Prowlers. Shots on goal. After 2 periods in this game, the Black Bears were leading on the shots on goal. They had 10, Port Huron had 8. That's Binghamton 20 and Port Huron 18 through 40 minutes. But then there was the third period.
In the third period, with Connor McAnanama pulled twice at the 18:12 and the 18:32 marks of the final period, the Prowlers scored 2 empty net goals off the sticks of Reggie Millette and Austin Federley, ending this game at a 4-1 victory.
Now, I'm going to tell everyone that I'm going to throw Taylor under the bus, and I'm going to say she absolutely hates when goaltenders are pulled. Now, I'm going to say this about that. When your team is having a hard time controlling the puck possession, I 100% agree with Taylor. It's like, you know that you've just watched 58 minutes of a game. You know that your team just can't control the puck, that the other team just has your number. But unfortunately, you have to try, right? Because, like, if you don't, I mean, it's a 2-1 game. If you don't pull the goaltender, people are going to be like, why didn't he pull the goaltender? Why didn't he put the extra man out there? But there are times when you just can't keep the puck on your stick. It's going to fall off and go to the other, the team. It's just the way it is. I'm not, and Taylor, you know I'm not picking on you or anything like that. I'm just saying I understand where you were coming from. Right? When you were voicing that, like, why are they pulling the goaltender? They can't keep control of the puck, and it just leads to 2 empty net goals. Well, the game is a 2-1 game. No matter what anyone says, I don't care what the score sheet says at the end of the day. It was a 2-1 game. The 2 empty net goals don't matter. It's just the icing on the cake of a game that was so frustrating anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, you can pick on me all you want. You can throw me under the bus because it's really how I feel. And I remember listening to Brooks at the end there, and he's like, McAnanama was looking over to the bench and nobody's looking back. And I'm like, yeah, because they don't have control of the puck. And then he's like, Brant's looking back at Connor. And I was like, no! Like, it's one of those things where I was like, you know, you don't want them to because it was a rough game. Yeah. But I do understand the logistics of it. And I know that it's something that it's going to happen. It's going to be done. It's not usually something we see happening on our end. Yeah. And I dislike goalies being pulled on either team. It's not something that I enjoy. I don't know. It's just my thing.
I get it. I totally get it. And I'm just picking on you because it's just kind of that. We got to have fun with this game because what else? Because in my third period notes, I say, what can we say about this game? Well, for me, it was garbage. I hated all the penalties. I hate that stuff. It's now, listen, so we got 3 fights in the game. Okay, I'll take the 3 fights. Those 15 minutes of penalty minutes between the 3 teams, I'll take the fights. That's fine. Okay, all right. They don't like each other. They want to drop the gloves. Emerson got a great win. I love the fact that he was using uppercuts. That was great. I'll take that. But yeah, the game was just garbage. All right, the Prowlers got chippy. It drew the Black Bears in and off their own games. Without Tyson Gavin, guys like Don Oliveri on this team, they don't have the experience to get through this type of game with a win. That's where coaching will have to show in video and just teach these guys how to handle this kind of adversity. Now, Taylor, I think out of all the things that I've said, that's the most important note from this game is how do you react the next time this type of thing happens with Port Huron. That's where Coach Sherwood, Coach Q, Tyson Kirkby really step up as leaders to get this team through the next time they go through this.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if Coach Q has kind of, helped bring Sherwood in a little bit, because, if this was last season, Sherwood's usually pretty chippy right back. I mean, if we go back to the Bobcats game between the coaches, Sherwood likes to voice his opinion. And I'm surprised that there wasn't any coaching issues on either side for this Saturday game.
Okay, Brant, if you just heard what Taylor said, please let us know if Coach Q helped keep you calm, or maybe my voice popped into your head and you were like, I'm going to say F you to Paul. Oh, no, wait, Bob might not like that, so maybe I shouldn't do that. Or has the two of you on the bench together realistically, or maybe Tyson was in the way. Maybe Tyson was over by that part and he couldn't get past Tyson, and Tyson's like, no, Brant, just stop. Because you're right. In a game like that where things were kind of getting like that out of control, either Brant's got to just reserve himself to go, okay, this is just the way this game's going. It's not our day. It's fine. We're going to move on. We've got 2 games against Indiana next week. Or he flips out. He just says, screw it. I'm just going to say what I want, do what I want, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think possibly just having an assistant coach there on the bench probably did help him, because again, there's one thing that you have to appreciate with Coach Q being there. He's played in the NHL. He's seen games like this as well in the American Hockey League, and maybe even once or twice in the NHL, where everybody just gets tripped up over themselves and penalties just happen. He's got some experience that maybe Brant can learn from. And I think that's one of the things that Brant told me he was excited about, was like, what can I learn from Q? Even though Q's saying, what can I learn from Brant? So I don't know. It's a good point to say, like, did Brant flip out? Maybe Brooks just didn't tell us and Brant's over there cursing everybody out, but everybody just ignored him. I don't know. And maybe Brant probably also, and I'm not in the mind of Brant, but I've talked to him enough times. Maybe he just finally said, this is the way this game is. I can't control it anymore. And just let the 2 teams finish out. But too many penalties. Both teams took 17 penalties each, and both teams had 59 minutes each. Way too much to make this game fun to watch. The game took 2 hours and 55 minutes. That's horrible. Way too long. Give me a game with 6 penalties in the whole game, and I will be much happier. First weekend in over a year where the Black Bears were outshot in both games on the weekend. Couple real positives. Connor McAnanima. Okay, this is where we need to talk about this seriously. Saved 32 of 34 shots and saved a lot of quality chances. Also, because Connor McAnanima kept the Black Bears in this game all the way up into the last 2 minutes when he was pulled. Austin Thompson registered a point on the Tim Kim goal, and it was his 200th point. So let's talk about the couple positives. Tell me what you thought of Connor McAnanima's play.
I mean, even Steve said that he thinks that it was his best game, it's kind of weird to say, because the game resulted in a loss. But those last 2 goals you can't put on him at all, because he obviously wasn't in net.
Right.
But yeah, he definitely. I don't know if I would have put somebody else in net. And I think that's probably what Brant's logic was going into this weekend was, Friday, you probably have an easier chance with one of the new guys, because it probably won't be so bad the first game against the Prowlers, but then that second game, especially after, they lost, you're going to want to put somebody like Connor in, somebody who knows the Prowlers and, can kind of keep the game within reach. Mm-hmm. And that's what he did.
And what's funny about it is you remember last Thursday when we talked about these 2 games, I said, oh yeah, they'll probably lose on Friday night, and Port Huron will muck it up a little bit on Friday night, and then Saturday we'll come back and do our typical, and it was reversed completely.
I mean, I said they were going to win both games, so
that's because you're so optimistic. All right.
I have to be. I got it. Otherwise, I'm going to be going off on tangents like you all the time.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. See, it's good. Calling me out. I like it. All right. Power play opportunities. 0 for 1 for the Black Bears, 0 for 3 for the Prowlers. And the key to this is when it came down to it, Black Bears were 0 for 8 on the power play. Port Huron was 0 for 8 as well, which means 9 penalties were matching of some sort, like whether it be fighting or unsportsmanlike. That, I hate that. I hate that. So you get 17 penalties, but that. All right, shots on goal. Binghamton had 7. Port Huron had 17. Binghamton 27. Port Huron 36. We already talked about how they just didn't get a lot of shots on goal. Taylor, let's finish this one off.
Black Bears lose the first game of the season in Michigan 4-1. Tim Kim scored his 3rd goal of the season, the only goal for the Black Bears in this game. Austin Thompson's assist on the Kim goal was his 200th point in his career. Connor McAnanima saved 32 of 34 shots, losing his first game of the season. This was a penalty-filled contest. Both teams combined for 34 penalties and 118 penalty minutes.
Horrible. I have to make that note in a game final, but okay.
Well, the penalties are bad when even Brooks is very confused on whether it's a 4-on-3, a 5-on-3, a 4-on-4, or for Brooks to be confused was just icing on the cake
because you couldn't get through you couldn't get through a power play. This is how frustrating it was without another penalty happening.
It made it so confusing.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, sorry.
I actually ended up feeling bad for Brooks because he's trying to give the information out there and he doesn't even know what's what because of the amount of calls that are being made. Yeah, and I'm not picking on Brooks at all. That's my frustration about that particular game. The Black Bears remain in the first place in the Empire Division despite losing to the Prowlers. The Black Bears are now 7-1-0 with 20 points. The Black Bears will travel home and face off this Friday and Saturday against the Indiana Sentinels. And, of course, Military Appreciation Night is on Saturday night at the arena. The jerseys are always good. I know that Brooks Hill said that EJ outdid himself on the jerseys. We both heard that on the broadcast. And it's always a fun one. Plus, it's the first jersey auction of the year, which means people will literally take their wallets and they crumple them up and they throw them at Brooks Hill when he's doing the auction because people have no sense of mind. They just are like, here, $2,000 for Tyson. Don't even bid me out. I'm taking it. It's just kind of funny. But I also have a closet full of AHL Binghamton Senators jerseys, so I cannot talk. I cannot throw stones in a glass building because I have a whole thing, and I have a couple Black Bears jerseys in there as well. So I can't talk, but it'll be a fun night. Well, Brooks is pretty funny when he does it because the jerseys start. I think the starting bid's supposed to be $250. Yeah. And he's just like, throw a number at me. And it's, somebody starts off with 500 and he's like, okay, we'll start at 5. And then he just goes from there. Cause he knows, like, it's just the amount of money that people are willing to spend on these jerseys for these players is insane. And this has been, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And it's been going on for years, even before the Black Bears, whenever jersey auctions happened, even in the American Hockey League, it's ridiculous. Denny Amell back in the early Sens days, he was getting anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500 for his jerseys. Ray Emery, a few people bought his jerseys for almost $2,000. It's just crazy how that happened. Now, I'd love to get my hands on a Ray Emery jersey, but I'm not spending $2,000 to buy it. It's just it'll be a lot of fun. Of course, Indiana Sentinels are coming in. They did have a coaching change. This is your small little preview of what's coming up. Obviously, this upcoming weekend, they did have a little coaching change because everything was going kind of crazy in the organization. There was worry about this and that, and they'd lost all these things. They got a point this weekend on Saturday night, so they at least have a point on the season so far. They're playing a lot more competitive, and that's because they hired Everett Thompson, and Black Bears fans will remember he played with the Binghamton Black Bears before he left, and he's just a really good guy. He was a guest on the Power Play Post Show last year. I know I'm going to kind of run into him and say hello to him on Friday or Saturday this upcoming weekend. He's a really, really, really great guy, and
It's funny. I just want to ask him one question. It's like, Everett, you took a job at an organization that basically everyone said was on their death's door, and yet you take that job. Why put yourself through that? Why? When you were living in Monroe and coaching a youth hockey team, why do it? And I'm pretty sure I'll know his answer on that, but that's what they got coming up.
Well, and I mean, you got to give him props. I mean, with all the stuff that's happening and, all the talks that's been going on for that team, they're still showing up. And even after all the chaos that's happened in the past week for them, they got a point. I mean, they still lost, but they took it into overtime at least. Like, they're out there and they're trying, they're clawing their way.
Yeah, I agree. So it'll be interesting. We'll see, what the lineup looks like for the Black Bears. They do have to drop at least one person, either trade or release one person before the start of next weekend's games. I think the Fed let people go through Saturday's game before making a decision on getting down to the 20+1, as we've talked about in the past. So we'll see what happens there. So expect that news to happen probably Monday through Wednesday at some point, and we'll talk about it obviously here on the Power Play Post Show on Wednesday night / Thursday morning. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Join the conversation on Facebook. Just search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net, unless you're Taylor asking for a very specific stat. Thank you to Rob Lapoulis. You can laugh about that. It was funny. Thank you to Rob Lapoulis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, defenseman Dan Wieber, for answering 6 more questions. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.